Welcome to Learn, Chat, Share, the podcast where knowledge meets conversation. Hosted by Daniel Wathen.
Try to get on my schedule.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, as they say on
Friday.
the
March
Tuesday
Madness
show.
has descended upon us.
Girl, I was at a Golden Knights game last night. They won 5-1 against Boston Bruins.
Can we
There's a
talk
lot
about
of
the big Celtics deal too?
No, I did not hear that.
Over $6 billion for the team.
Oh, Parker is working away, isn't he?
Sorry, hold on one second.
See,
Parker,
for everyone,
I'm on a podcast. You are not allowed to talk.
you're not muted either. I love it. So this is what happens when you parent and your child is sick and at home.
Yes, he has a self-diagnosis of pneumonia, he told me. No cough, but that's what he has.
Yeah, you don't have pneumonia, kid, if you're not coughing.
I actually wrote that to his school this morning. I'm not a doctor, but I can diagnose this.
He's got mental health pneumonia day.
Yes, exactly. So shout out to all the parents out there that are getting through the week with their own sniffles.
Yes.
And trying to be a leader for the littler sniffles.
The allergy season is real.
It is real.
So yeah, I went to this game and I've been to probably 4 or 5 Golden Knights games and they've won every single time. So of course I'm like,
Clearly it's you.
luck, clearly. Hat trick and everything. So there's a bunch of Bruins people walking out in a huff 5 minutes till the game ended. So there's
let's talk about, I went to Boston University, the home of the Bean Pot and some great collegiate hockey there between Massachusetts and Maine. And for the Golden Knights to be walking in with a hat trick against a legacy team in the sport, not too shabby there.
No.
We need to pay you for some glass side ticket.
I know I should have worn my jersey actually, but
obviously. Okay, well, when I come visit Vegas, we'll get some swag and I'll cheer you on cheering them on.
So
because I'm a New Jersey Devils fan, as you know.
Yes. Everyone should know Ashleigh is on a cheer me on day.
I am.
It's what friends Daniel
do,
day,
right? So on today's podcast, yes, we will certainly be diving into current events and some fun issues and some smiles between the two of us, which we can hopefully extend to the greater audience. But my friend and yours, Daniel here, the infamous D-Dub, he has a new business venture going. I want to put it out to the universe. I want to support you. I want to ask some questions, and I want to get some revenue coming in the door.
I know the interviewing is flipping. I'm on the hot seat.
Daniel, what are you up to?
In a world where it's actually very difficult to get a job, and believe me, I am applying for many different positions out there in the ecosphere.
Can we take a pause about that too?
Yes.
Because you're not the only one, right?
No.
I've had my own job stress. I think we've both been very blessed to, I used to say this about my first boss at Merrill Lynch back in the day. I was right out of school and working in the hedge fund group. And it was, the time when hedge funds were this elusive financial instrument that people only talked about at, cocktail parties and, fancy get-togethers sort of thing,
Yes.
the qualified client bit. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm 22, right? Oof, I'm working so hard. Right? You remember like all of, those big feelings in your early 20s? But the thing was,
this is back when you got like 2 or 3 emails and it was a busy day.
Oh, it was a crazy day. Crazy day. So I want to sort of shine a little light on the fact that certainly, in my 22-year-old brain, I was working hard at this big financial institution, but I felt like I was working for a boss that I worked hard, but I was rewarded for that. So someone that saw the effort I was putting in, saw the ripple effects of the work that I was doing, and promoted me and took me along on her own promotion. I mean, my first boss at Merrill is still to this day an incredible mentor in my life. all of that said, I think that that sort of carried with me, a blessing and a curse. You work hard and you get rewarded for it. And that's not always the case in life, right? So I
Mm-mm.
think my own sort of misconceptions about the job market, I have to tell you, I never applied for a job before. I went from Merrill Lynch to JP Morgan to Standard and Poor's to Deutsche Bank to Expedia. People came to me. And then when I left Expedia, I went to a startup, they came to me. I when I left the startup and took some time off after COVID, Daniel, the ego, not boost, the ego like going down the levels for these jobs that um nothing's beneath me, right? Before these jobs that I think, okay, I was running a team that was responsible for all of these things, the whole wheel, if you will, and then to apply to be a spoke in the wheel and not even get the callback to
Yeah.
interview for it, it's very disheartening on an ego. But
Yeah.
that said, entrepreneur life is a tough hustle too. But that's why we're here today, I think, because you and I both um, have had great success, have had great mentors and leaders in our lives. So we might as well keep those conversations going, but in the interim, boost each other up while we can.
Definitely. Definitely.
So,
I
Daniel, what are
know.
you up to?
Well, I mean, yeah. So I am applying for folks for everything, but in the interim, I'm also focused on sort of building out a variety of not labors of love, but just, creative endeavors that, I really care about. So
Yes.
Ashley and I did a variety of events over the course of more than a decade.
Daniel,
And
can we just talk about some cool things that we did before?
oh, we did
Like
some cool things.
our profile picture together should be like you and I in Shania Twain's dressing room. Like you and I with Blue Man Group. You and I with these legendary performance acts weaved into
Uh,
our content.
do,
Like
do, Doing
Simon
an
Sinek.
entire
Yeah.
convention on the Shania Twain Coliseum stage, so
How lucky. No, I really I go back and I think about it a lot actually. And I think when I see large of scale events happening, I've been at concerts, Coldplay, and sent you photos and been like, "Oh, look at the lighting
oh
team
my
that they
gosh,
have,"
yeah.
right?
I was at a Post Malone concert about a year ago, right? And he's single. He's only on stage. There's no band, there's no nothing. He carries the whole entire show. He doesn't do a single costume change. He's just there the
Wow.
whole entire time. The lighting rig was out of this world. And
Well,
I
see,
was
you know what I
like,
mean? Like we appreciate that
I
stuff.
literally sent an email to whoever, they never answered me, but I sent it to them because I was like, this is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen in my entire life, right? I gushed out on it. But
No, but
these are the
that's
types
you
of,
and I have that appreciation for an event well done. I've written a couple of blog posts on my ashleighwalls.com about poor event management.
oh,
When I say poor event management, I'm talking, Burning Man last year with all the rain and no contingency plans. I mean, there's a lot of examples of
yes.
bad event management, right? So the good event management is needed, period.
Exactly. And I will tell you that that was not my primary job at Expedia when Ashley and I were together.
It
It
was
was
not.
sort of I always called it other duties as assigned, which meant I had a whole nother job within Expedia
And
that
a really big job. I mean, I can do your
that I
PR
did
page
not
for
get paid
free.
for necessarily, but
Right.
no, I started event planning when I was in my early 20s, and I was an executive assistant and a marketing assistant and worked in the sales and marketing area for now Wells Fargo. It was
Mhm.
Nor West back in the day, and did probably 45 to 50 events a year, from smaller activations all the way up to sort of corporate holiday parties, etc. So,
Yep.
and
The most
I
thankless jobs ever, the corporate holiday party.
100%. And I had a mixed team. I had an entire team that really loved me, except the boss, right?
I did not know
Who
this.
who I reported to, right? And so because I wasn't appreciated and or paid for what I did, went to destination management company, went from there to that, right? So the serendipity of this is that I think for all viewers, you're going to be depressed while you're looking. You're
It's
going
hard.
you're going to apply to positions that actually don't exist. It's kind of a corporate play on it's their comp plan to appear as if they're hiring when in fact they're not. You know, you're
There's a lot of tactics going on behind the scenes.
totally, totally. And I say this from a point of understanding because I have talked to specific executives because I do know folks in a couple of industries and they're like, that position doesn't exist. That's kind of like, why was that posted kind of scenario. You are battling against AI. AI is reading a bunch of resumes right now and sort of choosing whether or not you're right for an interview, etc. So in the interim, while I'm doing all of that, because there is some stability and stable work and
And I think it's
cultures
good
and
for the
being with
mind and good for the
people.
soul too.
Yes, exactly. Meeting new people and being involved in new industry, etc. All of that is great for the brain and learning and growing. But in the interim, I've got to spend some time on this podcast, and that involves learning video editing, audio editing, graphic design, elements that I already knew, but like in this new, sort of new space. Uh,
It's not as easy as it looks, folks.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that, all of those advertising platforms. I would never have known any of it.
But I think something that needs to be celebrated um, in this moment is the fact that you are still learning during this process, right? So I think myself included, I um was in a state with a little bit of an ego, like, oh my gosh, I bring so much to the table. Why wouldn't I? Of course they're going, I'm not even getting a first interview with some of these roles, right? But the point is that I think you can look around on the internet and see a little bit about different skills, especially tools that are used in corporate
Yes.
communications planning, like I work for that I do. Um, I think the learning aspect and keeping your mind fresh and curious is really something that has to be celebrated because you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And I know it is so annoying to have to click through and redo things. And oh my God, the Zoom microphone and all the things that can go wrong,
Yes.
but you're learning and you're going through it. So I want to celebrate you
100%.
for that.
Yes, thank you. So I'm doing the podcast, and that's not going to go away because, hey,
You're
I
having fun.
get to talk to beautiful people like Ashleigh, and
He's biased, but I'll take
I
it.
mean, I just posted something on Spotify yesterday, which was 17, 19 minutes with our mentor Melissa Mayer on a few coaching insights. I would check that out. She has an executive series that's coming. It is well worth it, and this is just because I've been. I'm spoiled. I've gotten all of this for free, and she's taking it on the road. So I think it's like $1,800 or what have you for a 4 or 5 week session. For anyone listening, we'll post it in the link. You
Yeah.
go do that, right? I mean, also
For
if you
Melissa's,
want a divorce like a CEO, that you talk to Ashley. You don't get
exactly, or parent coaching of Focus
we're,
Family
we're
First, I
crossing the
for
gamut
you.
between improving your relationships or not. So
No, but
yeah.
I've been in a course all week. I've been taking this course with a really big sort of internet personality. Her name is Eileen Wilder.
Okay.
And she's like sort of right under, I feel like um those sort of, big times. I mean, she does $1 million days. She's an incredible force. All of this is to say she talks about in her master classes how she brings in other professionals that so she does a master class for a day for your business for $250,000 one day. And people like, in the 100 people that were in this class with me all this week, like people were buying it. And I was like, 250,000, but she brings in so many other professionals. So that's also something that I'm impressed by what you're doing, which is, Melissa's offered, 2 grand and you're getting it for free in these 17-minute snippets. That's also a really big gift that you're giving to other people. And what I try to do on my All's Fair Divorce Instagram page is give actionable advice about creating a parenting plan or things you need to be thinking about with your finances before, during, or after your divorce. And I want to provide that value to people because I genuinely want to help people. And I think that it's pretty similar with you too.
Yes, exactly.
So
Exactly.
after
In
that
addition to
very, very
all of
long
that,
intro, can you please
I've
tell us your new
I,
company?
yeah, I started an event production company. Uh, well, I was doing some of this work last year, actually. I had
Mhm.
several projects, and I was literally just trying to keep myself busy and have some sort of income coming in.
And
And
keep your connection strong. I think that's another learning from
exactly,
Melissa. She's the
and
best at
I
it.
mean, I could throw a party, so
Sure can.
yeah. And audio, visual, and production, stage stuff, help
Content. We do content
content
too.
management, tons of content management. I mean, girl, there were 700 slides. It was like a wild for one event. So like I said, I just
Executive
formalized it.
training,
I
right?
executive training.
How to coach an executive that you
If you're
think
an
is the smartest
executive,
person ever. How to be
I
on stage
can
is a skill.
I can coach you on how to be on stage and talk to masses of people. So,
So,
it-
event management, tell me who is your ideal client and what problem are you trying to solve?
so as you know, I've done large events. That requires a team. It doesn't have to be large events.
You've
So
done large successful events as opposed to a few that I was referencing a few minutes ago.
I've done large events that had a following.
Mhm. Right.
And, and I shouldn't say I. Ashley was a part of that as well as a very
Incredible team of humans.
good
Yeah.
team at Expedia while we were there. While
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
there. Um, anyway, any sort of like 100 people and up, you know,
Okay.
the sweet spot's going to be like sort of between 500, 900 attendees. Those
Okay.
are really good and manageable by shorter teams. I've done all the way up to 4,000, 5,000
You
folks.
sure have.
That's a whole, thing with
If you ever want
monster
to see
closing
me
parties
cry on a
here.
podcast, ask me about the oh my gosh, what year was it? The 2010 um name badge debacle.
Yeah, name badges.
Remember that?
Yeah, yeah. Those
Remember the
lanyards that
magnetic
cover the
badges?
private
And we
parts.
didn't realize, I didn't realize. Just for context, everyone, our president said, I want reusable badges and I want somebody can wear. I don't want the things around your neck. Okay, so we'll try something new this year. Well, we got these very swanky little magnetic badges, right? You put the magnet on the inside of your shirt. It's great. It's colorful. It's, on brand. And turns out some people with pacemakers can't have magnets next to their chest. I mean, all the things we learned, right?
It turns out that also when you are inkjet printing a badge and trying to apply it onto this
Takes a
magnetic,
few minutes when you
it,
have
it
4,000 people in queue.
yeah, it smudges too.
God bless Chris Ranfell. I remember we were testing in the ballroom and he kept he actually didn't bother me that much about it, but yeah, that those name badges cause
Oh,
quite
when
the
you do,
headache.
I love this one. When you do gift bags, a tchotchke bag, and there's like 9 or 10 items in there, like a pen, a notepad, all of these types of things,
Yes.
and each of them is
Luggage tag for Expedia.
luggage tag, and each of them is individually wrapped in plastic that has to be unwrapped. So you take those 5,000 items, multiply it times the number. I mean, you have plastic everywhere. Anyway, so that was always. I personally did not have to do that, but I did walk into a ballroom once where there's 50 people doing this, and
Mhm.
I turned right around and said, "It was the one time I said, have fun with that, folks."
Yes.
I've got other problems.
Yes, I have other problems. Like, yeah, we've solved them.
Like
So
potentially
the
moving an entire convention into another ballroom. 12
now
hours.
are you specifically focused on Vegas? Are you marketing to other areas?
No, I
I
mean,
mean,
obviously I have a specialization in Vegas, and it's the event capital of the planet,
there
right? So,
is,
I
yeah,
mean, obviously, anyone that's doing stuff here, and it also allows for me to connect with, sort of local businesses, luxury real estate folks, and people that do sort of longstanding events throughout, there'll be some nonprofit work as well, I'm sure, which isn't really income generating, but it is exposure oriented. But we've done events everywhere. So,
have you thought about, I mean, this is just on the mind because I have I have teenage teens and tweens. Um, what about the bar and bat mitzvah circuit? I mean, I'm thinking that's like the 100 to 200 people, big
yeah.
party. Like
Wed
you could throw a really good party.
weddings, any
Yeah.
sort of those it's more of a social gathering, right? So it could be
Yeah.
something as important as a birthday party, right? We
Mhm.
think 50, 60, 70-year olds, right? They usually have
That's right.
large families and large sets of friends. But yeah,
You
no.
actually helped me with that. I don't even know if you remember. Years ago, my ex-husband's father had his 70th birthday party at I do it Venetian. I don't remember, but you
Oh,
helped me years ago with that. So yes, you're speaking my
yeah.
language.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, uh, it is the biggest stressor on most, especially when it's personal, right? It's usually the biggest stressor. There are like our friend Lacey, she just does this and she's great at it, right?
She's great
Um,
at a lot of things.
She's great at a lot of things, so I'm not going to help her out because she's got, and she's a DIY kind of thing. But there are some people that aren't creative, and these types of things stress them out. I mean, what the pressure is on just inviting 200 people to a wedding. Like
Right.
it's a pretty, daunting experience for most. So yeah, weddings, social events,
Okay, how
convention,
can people find you?
parties, backstagepassevents.com. It's live now.
BackstagePassEvents.com. Know it, love it, visit
I'm
often.
on LinkedIn, so you can like me on LinkedIn. We haven't quite got to Instagram yet,
Okay.
but we'll get there at some point. So yeah, labor of love, and I believe in serendipity. Every
But
job,
it's something that you're so talented at. So I believe in serendipity too. It's not just the oh my, my false perception of my 22-year-old la la brain thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm just going to work hard for the rest of my life and I'm going to succeed." It's you're going to work hard, but you're going to better yourself. You're going to continue surrounding yourself by
yes.
people you trust.
Oh,
It's a lot.
I got my business cards today. So something is very official when you actually get your business card for the first time. Anyway, so
Okay.
yeah, the serendipity here is for anyone listening, follow your dreams, put the energy in. It keeps you going. Keep also looking, make sure you're open, because the serendipity of this is that something will land in my lap that I probably wasn't thinking of that
That's
will
right.
be end up being like the best possible thing for me. And I could be doing that for, 20 years. But
God willing.
yeah,
Cheers. We used to have some champagne around us sometimes. We might need to do that again.
I know.
Cheers to that.
We
Um,
got we got more mature later in our life.
no, but it is Friday. I mean, well, I guess we have school pickups. We have to be responsible parents too.
Exactly.
So I'm so excited for this. I'm going to follow and like and do all of the things, the little things right
Yes.
now. Yeah, I'm really excited for you because I feel like you're doing the work.
And you know what? I will let everyone know that you have low moments as well. So
Yes. Yeah.
the imposter syndrome is real when you don't have an income. It's like, what am I doing wrong? And what could I do better? And how did I do this? Or should I re-engineer my resume yet again? And am I not networking with the appropriate people? So it's very important to have people around you that tell you exactly what your worth is. Ashley's good for that. She has experience with me both in in loving, friendly environments and high stress environments. So she'll tell me how it is. And I have a lot of folks that
But I think
surround me.
that goes back to also one of the, tools in your tool belt, which is
Yeah.
surrounding yourself by people that want to see you succeed.
Yes. Yes. And Melissa Mayer will call it, make sure you have your posse, right?
Yep.
And so, lean on them. Sometimes it's just a matter of them telling you, hey, you have value. You're a great guy. you can do this, and then it sparks.
No, and remember what you have done, right? It's
Yes,
not just
yes.
a I believe in you, it's I've seen you.
Well, one of the bits of advice was, Melissa was write down the top 10 things that you've been successful at, right?
Love that.
It takes some thought to do that because you will automatically, no, that wasn't good enough. No, this wasn't good enough. This doesn't make the list, what have you. You may have to ask friends, what,
And I think it's also multidimensional, right? Like, what's your biggest success running your last sales team? But what's also your biggest success in terms of something you learned in the last year?
yes,
So it's not all sort of one track.
exactly. Exactly. So that was the excitingness of this week.
I love that.
It doesn't compare to some things that we were talking about earlier, which are kind of like in the entertainment world.
Well, we're not, but Daniel, wait, this is actually a question I've thought about.
You notice how I'm trying to transition off of me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think something else that I've thought a lot about is okay, so Ashleigh, you can give your, you know, unsolicited opinions via your personal blog about event management being so much more than anybody sees, right? It's so much deeper. And the amount of thought that goes into someone um, getting the content absorbed that you want it
Oh,
to, having a good time, feeling empowered to make some kind of change, right? Expedia, we always wanted our partners to have a 365-day relationship with us, right? And that was oftentimes the goal of the partner conference, which was give really valuable insights and actionable tasks, but really just get everybody in the same room so that your hotel partners pick up the phone when you need them during low inventory times, right?
well, and they don't know how the iterativeness of it, right? So we
Exactly.
have Dara Khosrowshahi get on stage. He talks for
Saying just change the stage.
12 to 12 to 15 minutes, right? And it's flawless for the audience, but they don't understand that there's been 55 versions of that presentation just from a drafting standpoint. That does not even include the actual work of putting the PowerPoint
Or embedding
or
videos into it.
or yeah, all the video creation, the blocking and rehearsal. Now, Dara is a special, he knows what he's doing, so less on the
100%.
rehearsal side, but
But you
yeah.
would be, I mean, you and I have talked about this offline a little bit. You'd be surprised that some of the caliber of executives that don't have a presence.
Well, yes, you'd be surprised also that 12 minutes of content will need 14 hours of rehearsal.
Daniel actually
It's
has a
just
story
like,
about that for anybody that
why are
cares.
we here? I'm gonna blow my brains out. Just like literally like, and you know what? The transcript is gonna have a gun. So
Good, good, good.
we
Low
don't want to
emoji.
spout that, but like, as an event planner and person who has to be with executives and coach them on stage, right? And be like, okay, you need to stop pacing back and forth, sort of stay centered and what have you. And they're reading, they always want to read from a teleprompter, which is
Always.
the
Where's my
last
second screen?
worst. Don't do it. It's disingenuous. You're gonna read words that don't make any sense to someone who's watching you just talk, Anyway, so I have my
I
opinion.
think a lot of it too is outside your comfort zone. It goes back to me giving you kudos for learning new skills, right? I mean, I can tell you, I live here in Bellevue, Washington, and I drive by the Maiden Bauer Center, which Expedia had used to have, some
Yeah.
events there, but um sort of the way I use the Maiden Bauer Center is we could oftentimes, rent a room or something, and I would shoot executive videos there for our upcoming global events and those sorts of things. And I remember having like some of our top executives in the room and being like, please deliver this line directly to the camera. Thank you for your partnership. Daniel, to see some people get so nervous to like say to you're an executive that's leading, these global partnerships, etc. But just to be able to say something like that, it can be very nerve-wracking for some people.
Oh, yes. Well,
So
I
that's
mean,
also what I mean by like step outside your comfort zone a little bit.
well, yeah. I mean, originally I wanted this podcast to be audio only, and then that doesn't work in the visual world that we live in, and so I've had to be on camera way more than I ever wanted to. But yes, it is a skill that you have to practice, and Um, yes, thank you for your partnership, Ashley.
Always. Um, but should we talk some? I can't think of any big events. Well, the iHeartRadio, but we both haven't watched it yet, so we can maybe talk about
Yes.
it another
Yeah,
time.
it
But
just that just happened. And the
yes,
Opry, I like country, so I'll watch the country because I guess there were some poignant moments in that. I mean, 100 years of
it's a big deal. And also, I just think I mean, I don't have the passion and depth of knowledge about music that Daniel does, but I'm along for the ride always.
an
That
amateur for
said, I
sure.
think country has become almost sort of bigger than itself, right? It's everywhere. It's not just this thing where, I remember, New York City in my 20s. What kind of music do you listen to? People used to always say anything but country. Well, now it's like country's interwoven in everything right now, right? And I mean, to even give credit, like Taylor Swift started her career there,
Yes.
Beyonce's there now. So, and I'm sure a lot of, if anyone that is a true country music fan like you, is watching this, they're probably like, oh my God, Ashley, seriously,
Well,
those are the two that you mentioned. But my point is that it's not just the artists in Nashville anymore.
yeah.
It's bigger.
Well, yeah, it's like it's I like Beyonce said it best, I think, with I'm paraphrasing, I'm not gonna quote per se, but much more of a gender um not gender genre bending industry now,
Mhm.
right? So
And she's a
so
leader in that,
like
right?
quintessential Beyonce, pop
All the single
yeah,
ladies.
like she had a space, right? And then moving into what she calls her roots, country, right? And have it be like, well, is she like the whole debate.
Right?
Then you have Shabuzi, right? Shabuzi, is he country? Is he rap? Like what is he,
Yep.
right? Or is he cross both, right? So it's like that's what I mean by genre, I mean, Taylor did it pop or country or something in between.
Yeah.
So I think music, and here's the thing. Most human beings like multiple things. My
I agree.
playlist, my playlist while I'm at the gym is Bad Bunny, Ricky Martin, all in Spanish. Do I know Spanish? No, I don't. But I lip sync every single lyric like I
Yep.
do, and it's my
You're
version of
like, I am a
Spanish.
Puerto Rican superstar on
I
the
have no idea I mean, I
trail.
do know some words, but I don't know what they're talking about. But, it's all sort of that's where the spice of my life is. I love that music. I, will continue listening to it. And I, as a gringo, don't know one thing about, what's being said.
Well, can we go back for one little second to Bad Bunny?
Please.
Oh, that Calvin Klein video.
That Calvin Klein release this week or last
Can you
late last
please put a snippet in this podcast today? Because I would love nothing more than to have a link easily accessible
for
to
everyone.
that
Yeah,
vision.
I will. He brought, there's always this, it's, um, all the men, Marky Mark, Justin Bieber, all the men that are in their underwear for Calvin Klein.
All the underwear.
All of it. And you know what? Not mad about it. Not mad at all about it.
No, but that was like something else, you
But
know?
it was bringing a whole, I mean, obviously first Puerto Rican, on an ad. That ad, the link is, it's his song, it was sexy.
Sexy. Yes.
And I would say if you went back in time 10 years, 15 years, it would not have been allowed, I don't think.
You're probably right.
But now it is, and I'm all for it.
We're here for it. I was
And
watching
if Bad Buddy ever watches this or gets a snippet of this, I definitely want to meet you 100%.
can we do an event together?
I don't know what we would talk about, but
You
I'm
need family
sure
coaching. No, I
at
mean it,
dinner,
it was,
whatever. I don't know. So,
but interesting too, just sort of seeing that vision from that Calvin Klein ad, right? I was watching yesterday, my daughter went back into the Netflix archives and decided to start watching Grey's Anatomy. I was like, okay, I could get into, when I started watching it years ago, waiting every Thursday night or whatever it was. Um, in the first season, Izzy, one of the doctors, that Meredith is going through her internship with, talks about how she was in this very risque negligee ad, but it had paid for her $200,000 worth of medical school uh, bills, right?
Wow.
But she gets very upset because they paste all these pictures up in the changing room for the doctors, and it's supposed to be this embarrassing event for her. And she takes off all of her clothes, and she's standing there in her bra and underwear, and I'm like, wow, ABC. Like I had forgotten that,
Yeah.
15 years ago they had sort of pushed the envelope with that.
Yes.
Not two episodes later, another doctor in the internship program, Christina, you find out she's pregnant off of this, like, hot affair in the hospital with her boss's boss or whatever. Um, my point is, times have changed so much in terms of what is out there for us to consume. And, 10 or 15 years ago, to see someone in their underwear on television was like a little bit shocking. And now here, Bad Bunny, we're like, oh, hi.
I mean, and what I like about, I mean, because I think masculinity was defined. You had to be all Marky Mark,
Yes.
flexing, legs,
Oh, no.
legs closed, like, just like whatever. I mean, they have him in some positions that I'm like, okay, well, that wouldn't have been allowed like 10, 15
Yes.
years ago. And nothing. I mean, you know, good job, Bad Bunny. Good job.
Good
Plus,
job.
he was on the SNL 50, right, as well. Um, he's
He's been great.
he's out there. So
Tell me about the Shawn Mendes insane comment.
I love how we just next up.
No, but wasn't that part of, I mean, I don't know. I also I like the celebrities getting celebrity accolades too.
Well, I mean, not that we have to go deep into this, but I think if anyone leans bisexually, which both of those individuals have been either admitted or have been um, talked about in that regard, and that ad is pristine,
Insane.
pristine and sexy. So if
Yeah.
another man, whatever his proclivities are, gives a compliment, then just let it be. Like, the amount of effort that a person has to do to be
Gosh. And I think too, I'm
videotaped.
like,
Wait, wait, wait.
that's beyond effort too. There's some good
Be
genes.
videotaped in your underwear and have it splash across the whole entire planet. Like you, uh, yes, it's insane.
Hmm. Well, I think he's riding it. I mean, um, I think I'm embarrassed to say this, but I didn't know about his I'm a big fan of Puerto Rico. I one of my most cherished humans in my life, Pedro Rosario. He's from Puerto Rico, and we talk a lot about the challenges that people are having
Yes.
there with, in some areas, lack of electricity from the
Oh,
hurricane a year
yeah.
and a half ago.
Mhm.
I mean, crazy stuff. Um, and I like to celebrate that too, that I think Puerto Rico doesn't always get the celebrity, accolades that it deserves. Not celebrity, just like the beautiful country, the depth of history and culture there. So if Bad Bunny can kind of to be completely honest, I didn't start following Bad Bunny for his music. I got interested when I saw the Kendall Jenner relationship. I'm being honest with you all. But that said, to give some light on this US territory that does not always get the light shined on it for the incredibly talented people, the beautiful topography, all of the things. I give Bad Bunny a little bit of a shout out too, where it's not just about his, Los Angeles or New York City fame. He brings a lot of attention back to his roots too.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and the culture and I mean the amount of music that comes out of Puerto Rico, like astounding. The
Yes.
the the acting uh prowess, uh,
Yep.
you know, it's just,
Here for it.
yeah, I have a background where one of my great grandparents come from an island in the Caribbean. We're not entirely sure which one. So
Okay.
sometimes I claim Puerto Rico because why not?
I love it. Well, good people, great culture, good food. I mean, I've never yeah, it's a good place.
Yes. So
What else is in the news?
Bad Bunny. Who else were we talking about?
Well, we both have to catch up on the iHeartRadio.
Yes, we do.
Um, who, I mean,
There's
the
just now it's just like the news wire is just like update after update after update after update. I mean, so we
have
could go
you
a
heard
little
a little
less
bit?
lighthearted if you wanted. I mean, today
Exactly.
the
How
Heathrow
about,
airport shutdown is
I was
happening
just about to
today.
say, how about the shit show that is at London's Heathrow today?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot of airline. I mean, I don't know. I don't. This is total conspiracy theory, but I've never. I don't think we've ever witnessed so many challenges with airports and airplanes that we
mhm.
have in the last 60 days.
So there,
It's
going back
crazy
to
to
the
me.
very beginning of our conversation, there was there is an airline that I had 9 interview rounds with a year ago to head up customer communication. Okay.
Yes.
Um, I went deep in preparing for these
Yes.
interview rounds and went deep into Reddit and sort of all of the problems that customers face with this particular company. Um, it was a lot, Daniel, a year ago or, 16 months ago when I was going through this whole process. There was a lot of customer angst around airlines in general. Um, we're talking lost bags, we're talking wheelchair issue, like I mean, the whole gamut of what can go wrong, from point A to point B.
Yes.
And after 9 interview rounds, I didn't get this job, which again was extremely tough on the ego because I was so prepared. I thought I was so prepared in all of these things. That said, the amount of times that I have thought in the last 16 months, thank God I didn't get that job. I'm not even kidding. We're talking doors being blown off airplanes. We're talking, I mean, right, all to your point, all of the things. London Heathrow shut down today. The global impact of that. I think of the people that are trying to get out for the birth of a new baby or to get out for a funeral, like real life events. And
No, it would be like the equivalent of Atlanta shutting down in the United
yeah,
States, like nuts. Um,
yes.
and for those that don't know, Atlanta powers a lot of the flights that the
For
U.S.
those that don't
It's
know, a fun fact is the Atlanta and Beijing airports are actually the two largest in the world,
yes, followed
and
by Heathrow
followed by Heathrow.
and Charles de
Exactly.
Gaulle. I think it goes back and forth between Charles de Gaulle and Heathrow. Anyway, so that's our travel knowledge for today.
Yeah,
Um,
that's our fun fact. We'll quiz you
but
later.
no, it's just like wild to me, like, engines and like, you know, the whole Delta flight in Canada and
Oh my goodness, yes, and that's been
Southwest in their
coming
bag.
back
Like,
even this week, talking
oh my
about the
gosh.
landing gear.
So I watched the Southwest. There's an EVP that gave like this whole entire dissertation answering questions because there's a lot of people that are mad about the baggage changes at Southwest. And
And potential seat changes too, right? That's coming.
it's like D-Day, May 28th. Like everything
Funny,
changed.
not funny, Southwest Flyer.
And there's not one single spin in like there's no spin in this. Like it's very like antiseptic the whole entire sort of so I mean in the zone of the audience just needs answers to their questions. Okay, get it, right? Um but for a company that prided themselves on this customer benefit, like
That's right.
it was it was a part of everything. And they're backing off of it and with this, we're going to make the experience better for our consumers. but I, as a consumer, don't really understand how that could be.
Well, it just so, marketing 101. What are your pain points and how are you or what are you doing to solve them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, we
So,
all know that it's a revenue play for
one,
sure.
that's what I mean. So don't
So
try to tell me that it's a
it's gonna,
customer first move when it's
it's
when
not
it's a revenue play. Don't message it as such because it's disingenuous.
100%. So I think a lot of the carry-on bags are gonna remain carry-on bags. So anyway,
And I think also it's going to be even more mayhem at the airport trying to get in line to get your carry-on bag first on the
yeah,
airplane while they still haven't assigned seats. Southwest is not, I don't even know if they're here in Seattle.
they are.
Coming from the East Coast, I was originally a
You're an
continental
Alaska
girl.
girl.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm
Oh
not a
yeah.
fan. I
Oh,
am
wow.
not a fan of Alaska Airlines.
Oh wow.
I started as a continental girl out of Newark, right? That's now United. And then since moving to Seattle in the last couple of years, Delta has really replicated the Seattle market. So I am very loyal to Delta here. It's just easy. Seattle to Salt Lake City, 2.5 hours, never delayed. Um, I like the Delta
Yes.
experience and Alaska. I mean, the app is glitchy. The try to get on the phone was I called Alaska. We're going to Mexico for spring break. I called them earlier this week. Hello, your hold time will be 57 minutes.
Gosh.
Are you kidding me? On a Tuesday
I
morning?
was I was trapped. Remember when DC had that weird wind shear a couple years ago?
I do. I was there
Closed,
for it.
closed. Yeah, I think were we both there? I think I got
Terrible.
trapped in DC for an extra like
Yeah.
2 or 3
I mean,
days.
it was unbelievable. It was so snowy. You couldn't even tell which way the roads went. I mean, it was
Yeah,
next level.
it was rough. But I was on a Delta flight and I didn't have to call them once. They basically fixed everything just through the app. It was like the best experience.
And
So,
you know what I like that Delta does? I'm sure other airlines do it now too, but I really like to be able to track my bag every stage through the
oh yeah,
process.
it tells you.
Oh, kudos to Delta, and I really love the replication of the Alaska Airlines routes because I am not an Alaska Airlines fan.
And hopefully there'll never be an advertiser.
No, we won't have an
Don't go
Alaska
back in the
fan here.
copper. You had an
Yeah.
opinion about no, anyway. So but yeah,
No, we can
that's
we can talk Southwest. I mean, congrats to Greg Schultz on getting them on the Expedia platform after all.
I know again another like we will never do. And just it's very interesting how I don't think a single company can ever say they're never going to do something. As an individual, you should never say that you're never going to do something because several years from now you'll figure out, wait, how am I doing this?
Wait, I wish I could turn my computer screen around for all of our viewers right now. I'm sitting and I'm overlooking the Seattle skyline. This is like the perfect cap on this. I went to Seattle for a cruise with my parents, as a lot of old people do, cruise to Alaska. This was 2008. We bookended the trip a little bit with some time in Seattle because I had
Yes.
never been here before. So cruising to Alaska, you can either leave from the Seattle port or Vancouver. I had never been to Seattle. I like to try new cities. I was like, let's, depart out of Seattle. Great. Came back. It's my own fault. It was a crazy weekend in Seattle. It was like basketball games, baseball games. It was just mayhem. So by the time I went to book a hotel room, I was not in city center. We were a little bit outside. And
Yeah.
that's also hard when you're not familiar with the city to sort of navigate if you're not like right in the center of things. So I stayed at this hotel on Queen Anne, actually, randomly. And my parents and I left Seattle. We had a beautiful, beautiful trip to Alaska, Mendenhall Glacier, went mushing with the dogs and took a helicopter, had just incredible experiences. Came back to Seattle and it was like, wah, wah. I said, well, check Seattle off my list. I'm never going back there. Daniel, 8 months later, I moved here for love, failed love, ultimately. But that said, never say never, just like
Never say
Southwest
never.
Airlines.
Uh,
Never say
there's
never.
whole books about us. Uh, the universe doesn't know the word no,
Oh, I didn't know that. I
and that's
like that.
KNOW. And
Okay.
So when you say that you're not going to do a thing, it doesn't read it that way.
There
So
you go.
so
I am the
and then there's
walking.
the food for thought, like resistance creates connection kind of situation. So so beware, be
Be
aware,
aware.
and beware. Um, yeah.
I love
So
it.
well,
Well,
we're gonna wrap up the recording bit of this because I have some other things I want to talk to Ashley about, and not for
and I'm excited. I have a new All's Fair divorce client that I have in about a half an hour, which I think a lot of it comes down to really wanting to help people
yes.
and having the opportunity to do so is a blessing. And not saying we didn't help people by throwing big events at Expedia or what have you too, but I think I'm learning at this stage in my life too, where um making someone feel like they're not alone in the process. I mean, I was talking to a prospect this morning that's really, really going through it. And I said to her, "You're not alone." And she has written me back not once, but twice since then. And she said, "I can't thank you enough for saying those words to me because I feel so alone right now."
Yes. Yes.
And I think it's just something epidemic right now in the world. Everybody's kind of like, "Oh my God."
Yes.
Um, so my message that I would love to convey is today, celebrate your connections, strengthen them, invest in them, and know the good ones that cheer you on like you've done for me so many years and really cherish that. So thank you.
You're welcome. And my message is follow your dreams, even if they don't turn into anything, at least you're expending your energy in a positive way towards
That's
them.
right. We should give a master class, Daniel. I would be the first one to pay for a
And
seat
you know
there.
what? Sometimes you have shitty moments. You just need friends to talk to lift you out of that. And that's back to you're not alone.
Girl, your hair looks so good today. That golf
Yeah.
shirt is looking fire.
I was like, oh, I like that color pink lipstick you have on today.
Thanks.
Okay, well,
Um,
we're gonna wrap up the recording part of this, and then
We're going to be a little bit more detailed next time too with our current events because I really enjoy talking to you about current events.
yeah.
I'll come more prepared.
Okay, cool. All right. See everyone
Bye,
next week.
everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.